And we are live. Welcome, guys, to Jason Hebert Live. Thank you for your patience. Had a little technical issue, which I know you guys are used to. We have those quite a bit. Hi, everybody. Hi, Jake, Lisa, Dave, Tammy, Heather, Elizabeth, Be United, Donut. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for hanging out. If you're new to the channel, we do interviews such as this, missing persons interviews. We interview the families of missing people at least 4 or 5 times a week, sometimes 7 times a week. So if you're into that or any kind of true crime content, please click subscribe below, as well as set the notification bell to all. Please be sure to check out Be United. Their links will be below. Give me 1 sec while I pull up their flyer. Their links will be below to both their website, which is be-united.org, as well as their Facebook group. For some reason, my computer is not loading photos, so give me just a moment here, guys. Sorry about that. Having another tech issue. Okay, just give me 1 sec. So sorry. If you are listening, I'm just pulling up the photos. And we are having all kinds of tech issues here today. All right, here we go. Here is tonight's subject, Diane Francis. And as you can see, this is Be United's flyer that they've created for her. Before I go into this, actually, let me introduce my co-host, which many of you know well, my main man, Grotto. What's up, my friend?
Salutations, folks. Good evening. Hopefully everyone's doing well.
Everybody's all happy now. They're like, "Oh God, is it just going to be him again? We don't get another cool co-host. We get to listen to this guy for an hour and a half."
I'm so sorry. My condolences.
All right, but let us go into tonight's subject, and then we will bring on her daughter, who's here to tell her story, in the hopes that if you know something, absolutely anything, that you come forward, because she is suffering and needs to find her mother, and it's been far too long. So in 2005, Diane Francis had been having some struggles in her life due to substance abuse. This led to her losing custody of her children, a fact that at one point had led to Diane telling officers in an interview she had considered taking her own life. But as the year progressed, Diane seemed to have dropped off the map. She wasn't seen at any of her typical local hangouts and seemed to have vanished into thin air. But the next year, in 2006, she called her father asking for identification paperwork. The phone call was the last time anyone has heard from Diane. She had been romantically involved with 2 men at the time of her disappearance. Both claimed to not know where she is. Neither reported her missing at the time of her disappearance, at least not for the first 12 years. 12 years after Diane disappeared, a boyfriend randomly made a call to the local police department to report that she had been missing since 2005, 12 years earlier. So why exactly did they wait so long, and what prompted him to make that call is just one of many questions that surround the disappearance of Diane. And tonight we have Sherri Snider, who's Diane's daughter, on to tell her story, in the hopes that if you know something, that you do come forward. Hi, Sherri. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hopefully, I kind of put that little script together quick. I think everything on there should be accurate, right?
Yes. The only thing I heard that was a little off was that she was actually only romantically involved with one man that I know of. And that was in 2003. We're not even sure if they were still together. He claims they were. So I believe that they were still together in 2005. But he also claims that he just left her in Florida. So not much info there.
Okay.
And the other man is from 1999. And that's the one that decided to report her missing after 12 years.
Huh. Okay. Well, we definitely will get into that, because that sounds a little peculiar, the circumstances surrounding that. But before we do you want to tell us a little bit? I know you were younger when a lot of this went on, but do you want to tell us a little bit about your mom and what you do remember and what you've been told from like the weeks and months leading into her disappearance?
Yes. I will say that she was a very spunky, outgoing woman. She was the type to pretty much get in the car with anyone, be anyone's friend kind of gal. That's how she met most of her boyfriends back then. And Basically, my sister and I, we spent most of our lives in foster care, like I told you prior. So when we got out, it was basically, like I told you, we asked our family, where is she or what happened to her? And it was the same thing from everyone, pretty much. We looked for her. We had cop friends look for her. You know, they'll say stuff like, well, with that lifestyle, it never really turns out good, stuff like that. So I think they kind of got to a point either where they were so hurt by it that they stopped, or, you know, they found something that they didn't like and they stopped. I'm not sure. But as far as like knowing what happened to her leading up to it, all I know is she was in this hotel in Jacksonville. Her dad claims that she asked for the paperwork you mentioned from the same hotel in Jacksonville a year later, and she just vanishes. The last known sighting that I can confirm is when she was released from that overnight hold in November of 2005. So I can't even confirm the call in 2006. I wasn't there. I mention it because it is info that I was given, and I don't want to withhold anything, but I wasn't there, and I don't know what the circumstances of that call were exactly, or where that information was sent, or if he ever had a follow-up call, or any of that. So it's just kind of cut and dry right there. In 2005, 2006, somewhere in there, she just vanished. And I was still in foster care up until 5 years after that. So I couldn't even legally look for her until I got out. I mean, of course, I did my own little like social media searching back then, but social media wasn't even really that big back then. It was like MySpace, and
Right.
you know.
Yeah, I remember.
So, yeah. As far as that goes, I don't. I can look at the end of his. He wrote a testimony for me, the one that I mentioned to you.
Okay. And while you pull that up, how long was it? It said she kind of dropped off the map in 05, then made the call in 06, allegedly anyway, and then disappeared again. How long was she gone before the call, or kind of off the map, let's say?
Okay, well, so in 2003, that is when my mother's rights were terminated. For once and for all, we couldn't see her anymore. So we were taken away for good and sent back into foster care. And she was with a certain boyfriend at that time. We knew him as like a stepfather, and he had a son, and he was like our stepbrother. And so that's 2003. She disappears for good in 2005. He claims he was still with her throughout that time period. And he claims that he left her at a pimp's house right down the road from where we were taken away the last time. Like not just 1 block away, right behind where we used to live with her. And he claims that he left her there, and that's where she wanted to be. She kept asking to go there, and he left her with a man named JP. Now, those are just initials. I don't know what that stands for. I don't know if that's an alias, a cover-up name, a pimp name that he uses. I don't really know. I don't know if he even exists. But I do know that this is what he's claiming, and that it was a boarding house. And I have the address to this house too, and that's how I know it's not too far off from where I last saw her with my own eyes. And then he says he moved to North Carolina the same year. He left my mom at this kid's house, and he moves to North Carolina. And then he gets a call from the workers on US 1, which is the main road right there in Melbourne, where they lived. And these worker women are saying that JP is dragging my mom down US 1, and he's broken her face or something, her cheekbone. Again, I don't know how truthful that is. I don't know. I take it with a grain of salt, because these people that she was associated with back then also did drugs back then. They also weren't all there. And so, like I said, when they don't want to get involved, it's mostly because they were doing the same things she was doing, and they don't do that anymore. And they've moved on, and they live different. Like, he's in North Carolina living his own life, doing whatever out there. So for him to try and get involved, it'd be like dredging it all back up again, you know, I guess. So I don't know how much is truthful to that, but that's what he says he heard from her last. That's the last time he ever heard about Diane or anything about what she was doing or where she was at, was these prostitute women on US 1 calling to let him know that she was getting the crap beat out of her, basically, on the side of the road. And he was like, well, what do you want me to do? I'm in North Carolina, kind of thing. So
Is there a really loud beep somewhere?
not in my room.
It's feedback. It's audio
Okay,
feedback.
sure.
So
Okay, keep going, Sherri. Sorry, I thought it was
it'll come and go every now and then. It's happened twice.
That's all right. So yeah, that's the last boyfriend. That's the story I get from him. And to me, it just doesn't all add up. Mind you, I know his son, like I was telling you, and when I was a little girl, he was 15. Now he's 30. And so I talk to him as well, and I communicate with him only for the sole purpose of finding out information, mind you. We don't really get along, but the point there is his son has a completely different story than him. His son says that they all lived in this boarding house together, that him and his father left the boarding house and left my mom with this JP guy. Someone's messaging me and saying that it says the date of last contact was June 15th, 2003 from Namas. So I explained this to Jason earlier. The Namas case is going to confuse a lot of people. Sorry to change the subject all of a sudden.
No, it's okay. That's me putting them on screen as the questions come in. So you can either just address them or wait till you're finishing your point and I'll read it, whatever's easiest for you. I just put them up there just so you can see them.
It showed up as one new message for me. So I was like, oh, is someone messaging me? I don't know how this happened. This is the first time I've ever used StreamYard, I think it's called. So forgive me if I'm illiterate to how it works. But yes, the Namas case, the reason that is a thing is because in Florida, if you go on Google right now, any of you that are watching, and you look up what are the requirements to report an adult missing in Florida, you will see right there the problems that I ran into. You have to have definitive proof that this person went missing on like heinous terms. They were kidnapped off the side of the road. They are a danger to themselves or others, or suicidal, things like that. So if you're over the age of 26 in Florida, you can go missing if you want to. You don't have to tell anyone you're going anywhere. And guess what? If your family comes looking for you, they're not going to tell them anything. That's the rules there. That's how it works. And so I got the bright idea that I lived in West Palm Beach as a kid. That's where they brought us. They drove us 3 hours away from where my mom and our case originated so that she wouldn't come looking for us. And so we went to Broward County, which is like West Palm Beach and Fort Lauderdale, those surrounding areas. We lived in there, that area. And so we did really well there, and we were incorporated. You know, we went to schools, we made friends, we did okay there. And so my thought was to just call the police department there and explain my situation. And so I did, and I got Detective John Cogburn, who is my savior at this point, because he got my mom in Namas, and he got her a missing report, an official missing persons police report. And even though it might be a little sticky doing that, she needed that report for me to move forward with other things. If someone's not officially reported missing, no one will tell you anything. They won't give you any information on that person because you could be anyone. I could be some psycho girl that doesn't even know her. And, you know, because her rights were terminated also, I'm not even technically legally her daughter on paperwork anymore. It doesn't show. So I could be Joe Schmo calling to find out anything I want about Diane Francis. They don't know who I am. So these are all, you know, things that I ran into. And, you know, thank goodness for Detective John Cogburn. I do want to thank him on here publicly. He's the best. He heard my story. The next day, he was ready to drive to my grandfather's house to question him. He was like, "Can I go?" And I was like, "No, they don't want to be involved. You don't understand. Like, they don't want to be questioned. They'll like literally slam the door in your face. Don't go there." But just the point that like he was so willing to help when I had been so shut down. I mean, I think the last call to Jacksonville when I tried to get them to take the case, I cried hysterically. It was my birthday. It was June 15th last year, when I kind of kickstarted publicizing everything about my mom, because I've been real quiet about it, you know, with the family not wanting me to pursue it and everything. I've kind of kept it on the down low for so many years. And finally last year I went public, and so I called Jacksonville and they laughed at me. They laughed at me crying hysterically about my mom. And they're like, "Why are you just calling now?" And I'm like, "I've called over and over and over again over the years. Maybe it wasn't you that I spoke to, but I've been doing this, you know?" And they were like, "Well, we can do a well check on her, which means we'll go to the last address she has listed here." And I said, "She's not there anymore. The last address she has listed is from 2005. And she goes, "Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, that's all we can do is check the last address she has listed." And they went there and they had 2 officers call me from a private number like hours later, and she wasn't there. It was a new family that lived there that was just so confused as to why the police were showing up at their house. And like, I told them that was going to happen. But Detective Cogburn is still the detective on her case currently. Currently, we're awaiting DNA from the University of North Texas as well, which I'm told that could take forever. So, and I sent that in on my birthday last year as well, the same day that I spoke to Jacksonville. He was kind enough to do that as well, take my DNA and send it in. Yeah, and I ask him ever so often, you know, "Hey, any updates?" And he'll just say, "No, I'll let you know when there is something." And then I say, "Okay, no problem." But that's kind of where it's at right now, just waiting for that DNA to either hit or not hit on someone that's already in the system. So.
Corrado, did you have a question, or I want to leave you out?
No, I mean, it's so given the stage that this is at right now, and seeing that she's gone by aliases, I know from personal experience, my mom left me when I was 10 years old and then went and changed her name, and it took us 8 years to find her. So is there any way she may have changed her name and you guys just haven't been able to find, you know, that happening?
Yeah. Definitely. And I almost have chills all over me because I think about that all the time. You know, the first alias that I found, it was by complete accident. I say it, I think in the previous podcast I've done, I literally just found a report and it had a jail number on it, like a JSO ID, which is Jacksonville Sheriff's Office ID number. And I was like, "Hey, I wonder if I like take her hair color and the birth date and her name and everything else off of here, and I just searched this number. I wonder what would come up." And another name came up, and it's her, and it's Kimberly Teresa Foreman. That's her alias. I don't know if you guys have that or not. I'm sure it's on some of the flyers that are out there. So yeah, that was by complete accident. So again, I could go another 7 years and just stumble upon something else. It's really a matter of just trying new things and being open to, you know, trying new stuff. I don't know.
Absolutely. Be United Missing Persons, which is a group I work with, said that they did have officers check to be sure she wasn't incarcerated across the U.S. and it came back as negative, just so you know.
Yeah.
They knew about your mom's case when I told them, so they had already previously done some work, so they wanted you to know that.
Yeah, we actually worked together. It was so funny that you mentioned them. I was like, that's probably how he found me, because I knew them prior to meeting or finding out about you and everything. So yeah, they did a little flyer and stuff for her. Very nice people.
Yeah, they're great. Sorry, girl.
No, you're good. And I'm sure that people, if they ran into the same reports that I read and well, ooh, we got feedback now, and it's gone. Okay, so
Sounds Sorry, Be United person said we found 4 aliases as well. I'm only aware of the one, so.
Can you tell us what those are? Be United, or maybe not publicly, right? You don't want those public, Sherri, but maybe we can have them
Right,
contact you.
at least until I look into it. If they could send it to you or I, that would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys want to email that to me, I'll put Sherri's information under this video as well, or at least the group for her mom. So you can either send it there, or of course you guys know my information. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of feedback, guys. Sorry, we're having a lot of problem here. Jennifer North asks, I see she's blonde and then a darker blonde. What's her natural color?
So if you guys see my hair right now, I'm kind of going for a whole Diane thing. Her hair is like real dark up here usually, because she's got like dark brown to black natural hair. And then she always bleaches it. So the ends are always like a bright blonde type deal.
Okay.
And nothing found. Dave Wilson, I saw that.
Yeah, he's with the Be United group. So they did check under all the aliases, but I'm sure they'll be willing to give them to you as well. But sounds like they did some work already. What do you make of the guy with the whole 12-year thing? That just strikes me as so odd.
We'll get into that, I guess. So I want to say, first of all, 1999 to 2015 is 16 years. It's not 12. Not that you were wrong. I always say 12 too. For some reason in my mind, it's 12, but it was 16 years that he waited. He last dated her in 1999, and that was the last contact that they had that I was aware of. She was with the other boyfriend, the one that lasted until 2005. Thank you very much, Jennifer North. Yes, so he's an interesting character. We've recently lost all contact. He has blocked my sister on all social media. He will no longer answer me. He's changed his phone number. And I'm assuming it's because he's found out that I am suspicious of him. I don't think for a fact that he's done anything, and I'm not solid in anything that I think about him, but I definitely have my suspicions, and he worries me as a person. And that's because he last dated her in 1999, and then on May 10th, 2005, he calls in to report her missing, or 2015, I'm sorry, calls in to report her missing. On May 11th, his neighbor goes missing.
And his neighbor was his friend as well, right?
Yes, they were associated.
I was going to ask, because that's what I saw in the article too. So the neighbor went missing right before he called about your mom. Is that right?
The day after, I believe. The day after, the day before. Either way, it was like really coincidental and weird. And now, mind you, and I can speak about him because he has an open case still. And if anyone wants to look into that, his name is George Contos. That was the neighbor that went missing. And his case is still currently open. They found his truck next to like Everglades, I believe, abandoned. And he was supposed to be going to either buy or sell a car, I believe. But because I have contact with the ex-boyfriend of my mother's that's associated with this individual, I got a different story from him because we were still talking at the time. He told me something way different, that they fed him to gators. That's what he told me. That came out of his mouth verbatim. They fed him to gators and he was going to sell pills. That's what I was told. So I don't know the truth again. It's all he say, she say. I don't know. But that is what I was told by him. And now I don't see what kickstarted you to be like, oh, my neighbor went missing. Let me call to see if this girlfriend I had 16 years ago is missing, because I haven't heard from her. Like, what I tell people all the time is, wouldn't your first thought be to call family, or to like reach out to her dad or her mom or her daughter because you knew them? Or like, and then he tells me he searched for me on social media for years. No, I'm sorry, bro, you didn't. My stuff has always been public. I have never changed my name on purpose. I live my life so that my mother can find me. if she came looking. You know what I mean? So the fact that he told me he went searching and couldn't find me or my sister, it was just bogus. I found him in a matter of 2 days. Once I decided I was going to find him, I found him. There was no doubt about it. I called his nephew. I called his ex-wife. I called his sister-in-law. I called his brother. And then his brother gave me all his info and I called him. Like, that's as easy as it is. You know what I mean? So you can't tell me you searched for me for 16 years and then you just decided to call the police instead. No. It don't work like that. And I don't know any boyfriend that I've ever had that I would just be like, hey, you know what? We broke up. It was really, really sour when it ended. But, oh, and I used to beat the crap out of this person all the time. Like, I have the physical reports from it when he used to beat the crap out of her. Let me just go call the police and report my ex-boyfriend missing. Like, I don't see myself ever doing that after 16 years. That's dead and gone. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't even worry about those people anymore. When you write them off, you write them off. That's how I feel. But apparently not him. And within a day of his neighbor also being reported. Now, I don't know if George Contos went missing like the week prior and then his family had to wait a certain amount of time before they actually made the police report, and that's the day it was made. He might have gone missing days prior to that. I don't know. But they were reported within 1 day of each other. And I have the screenshots of that. I just can't pull it up right now on here.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that is obviously so peculiar. And again, we make no hard accusations, but it just makes me wonder if when something happened with the neighbor, if the wheels started turning in his head, thinking, oh, my girlfriend went missing. Now this guy, I got to say something to make this sound, that's what it, again, no accusations, but that's what it kind of sounds like.
Right, exactly. Or like something, like, and, no harm intended to him, but like maybe his mind is just not all there because again, he did live the same lifestyle back then and for many years of his life. And I don't know, maybe something in his head just told him to call, but after all these years, I've thought about it and I just can't see any reason, no good reason that would be a thing. I couldn't see myself doing that, but.
Can you go over the circumstances? You were talking for a little while, then you said you stopped talking because you got suspicious. Can you go over what you said, what triggered that kind of stuff? Or I know you probably can't say everything, but
I can say a lot. Just probably not his name anymore. Basically, how it started is, like I said, I hunted him down. So that took a couple days of waiting for people to leave voicemails back and then me calling them back and, explaining the situation. Like, I don't mean any harm. I'm just kind of like looking for him to see if he's seen her. I don't care about him or what he's doing. And when I say that even before I actually got him on the phone, his family was corroborating a story for him. I'm not even lying. Like, oh, 2005? Oh, well, this is where he was at in 2005. So there's no way he could have been anywhere near your mom. Like, well, how do you know? And then at one point they were like, oh, well, he was hiding from some bad people. So he lives in a house that's not even in his name. He's like hiding. And so when I finally tracked him down, I waited a couple days for him to call back. And I still have the voicemail saved on my phone. And I can't say verbatim what he said, but it was like, hey, Sherri, this is so-and-so. You might remember me as Dad. Why don't you call me back? I've been looking for you for years. And he's a very stuttery person. He stutters a lot. He told me that the PIN code to his credit card is still my mother's birthday. So 7768 is his credit card PIN, just in case anyone was wondering. No, I'm kidding. But he did say that. And then so little things like this is what worries me. On her birthday, I texted him and I said, hey, the big 52 this year. Like, happy birthday, Mom. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, I just figured if your credit card PIN was still her birthday, you might remember something like that, but I guess not. And just little things like that. When I asked him, when was the last time you saw mom? He said, well, I would have to say like 2003. And then I said, well, that doesn't make any sense because you last dated in 1999. And then he'll correct himself and be like, oh yeah, it must have been in 1999 then. And just little stuff like that. And then he'd stop answering. He was commenting really, really creepy stuff on my sister's photos. He made a comment one time that was like, and I'm not going to say it fully on here because it's pretty derogatory, but he said, you know, I always wonder what you look like because your mom always had the nicest, and then he stopped. And I was like, yeah, you probably don't want to say that.
I haven't been responding because I've been muting myself because of the feedback, but sounds like total creep stuff.
Yeah. Like,
why would you ever think?
He wanted to be a part of my life so bad until he found out that I suspected him of things, or I might suspect him of things. And then it was like, now he's just gone. He won't talk to me at all. He won't answer. I'm sure he listened to one of the podcasts or something and heard me mention him and got angry. But again, I do cover my own tush, and I say, you know, total deniability. I don't know for a fact anything, but these are just my opinions and what I think and how I feel. Because again, I don't have proof and I don't know for a fact. But I'm sure he is hurt by some of it, or a lot of it, I guess. I don't know. He also found out I got my foster care case file because it took me a few years to get that. Which they're still withholding pieces of it from me, by the way. I only have certain sections of it. And a lot of it includes him just doing awful things to my mom, throwing her across the house, beating her until she was senseless, with me and my sister there. And, you know, we remember as little girls jumping on him and trying to defend our mom and to get him off of her and things like that. And so again,
Actually have memories of that.
Oh yeah. I've been diagnosed with PTSD a few times in my life because obviously they say it can get better and things like that. But there's a lot of trauma. And again, that's why my sister won't get on here and do what I'm doing. And it's taken me this long to do it. I just started last year, you know. Thank goodness, because it's so much easier than I thought. And there's so many more people out here than I thought that are a huge part of it and willing to be a huge part of it and be supportive. So yeah, a lot of trauma. And again, I have the written reports. So it's like, even if I thought in my mind that maybe I was making that up or like maybe I just hallucinated that, I have it written now. So it's like, oh my gosh, yes, this stuff really happened. You know, I tell a story of one where he like Hulk punched his hand through the door and unlocked it. Because just my sister and I had dragged him or our mom into the room to get away from him. And he so much as punched his hand through the wood door and unlocked it and was still coming after her. And we had to jump out the window and the police were already there. So just stuff like that. And he didn't know when we first started talking, he didn't know that I remembered anything. And he didn't know that I had the reports until I told him. And once I told him, stuff got weird. It was like, oh, you remember. I can't just push over on you and make you think that I was your good stepdaddy. You know, like you were a little person, but you remember it all. And then I said, you know, well, I also have the reports because I obtained my foster care case file. Because, I mean, who wouldn't? I spent 14 years in and out of foster care. I want that information. You know what I mean? And once he found that out, it was like, you know, I wouldn't hurt a fly. What do you mean? And I mean, if you look him up on public records, it's not a secret. He was charged with assault and battery throughout his entire life and went to prison for it. I mean, that's when he met my mother, is when he got out of prison. So
just so you know, if you want anybody to try to talk to him, I'm always like working behind the scenes with the families and stuff. I don't just do the interviews and then say, okay, bye, see you later. If I can help out in the background, by all means. I don't know exactly what it would accomplish sometimes, but I'm always willing to try to dig up some information. I'm pretty good at getting people to talk to me for some reason. I don't know why. They trust me for some reason.
Well, the only thing there is we would definitely have to disconnect, because although he has my sibling, my only living sibling, blocked on everything on social media, I am not. He still has me on there. He just won't answer me. So I imagine he's watching what I'm doing. That's the feel that I got from that, is he's just hanging around to see what I'm going to see and what I'm going to find. But I don't mind.
You guys.
Yeah. It is traumatic, but I'd like to tell people a lot. It's made me who I am, and I don't think that I'd be sitting here talking about it if I hadn't dealt with as much as I have. And even after, because I am an adult now and have my own life and my own child. And so, yeah, it was traumatic, but I think that I can say I'm proud of the person that I am through all of it, for sure.
I'm sure your mom is very proud of you too. You're representing her very well.
I hope so.
That's my friend Tammy Spang giving me a little shout out. I had to throw that one on the screen for my own ego. Thank you, Tammy. She was actually our very first interview we did.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Good to see you're still out here helping people then.
I keep having to mute myself because of the feedback, and then it takes me a while to go and unmute myself to talk. Grotto, I didn't want to interrupt you. I think you were saying something a minute ago.
Oh no, I was saying it sounded like as soon as he realized he couldn't groom you or your siblings, he kind of shelled up. So I had that similar thing with my mom.
Chills on my eyelids when you said that. Yes, I believe so too. Because although everyone, and here's another thing, Jason just told me right before we got on here that I do look a lot like my mom. And a lot of people tell me all the time that I look just like my mom. The only person that's ever told me that makes me want to throw up is him. Why is that? You know what I mean? Like, why is that? Why is it that my stomach turns when he says it? Everyone else says it. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. That's so nice. And I'm like, please stop.
Because it's a compliment from everywhere else, and you're a replacement. Sound like a replacement for him.
It's exactly what I was thinking. When you were saying that, I was thinking it's because she looks like her mom when you're talking about him, like getting excited to talk to. It's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's interesting. We'll just say that. But another thing is my sister was not as open to talking to him, and he would call me and ask me, like, why isn't she answering the phone? And I'd be like, I don't know. Maybe she's just kind of weirded out by it. Like, you are somebody from our past. Like, this isn't like, oh, we haven't seen you since last year. I haven't seen you since I was 4. Like, I'm almost 30. So it's, it's a little scary. And my sister is just even more of a nervous Nancy than I am. And I'm a pretty nervous, anxious, I got my trauma stuff. So I'm not all calm, cool, and collective all the time. And she's a little more so than I am. So I could see her not answering just because she didn't want to, like, have to face that after so many years. You know what I mean? And I was just like, no, I don't know. Like, let's talk. I'm still looking for, like, a good part of my grandfather's testimony to read. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sure. Well, if you want to take a moment, we have a couple new viewers that came in towards the end of where we are right now that are kind of asking for a little summarization. So we can go over it a little bit while you look at, if you want to find a certain part of the read, because I know you wanted to pick certain points to read on that, right?
Yeah. So are you talking about Skywatcher here that's asking?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can you summarize the events surrounding the disappearance and the rationale for suspecting the man being spoken of? Was he married to or living the victim? He was not married to or living with the victim at the time. She disappeared in November of 2005. And for some reason, the person that we are speaking of decided that 16 years after seeing her last, he was going to report her missing. He also knew what county to call in 2015. I did not find out about Jacksonville until 2016. Here's another thing. He claims that one of the reasons he called was because he got my sister and I a flyer. So in 2014, my sister and I handed out flyers in the surrounding area, missing persons flyers for my mother. We also went to every single one of her ex-boyfriend's homes and dropped off a flyer. At the time, this person lived 3 hours away from where I was dropping off flyers. He never received a flyer. He never got one. There was no flyer at his house. And he claims that that's a reason that he called. I got the flyer you guys left at my house. And I said, well, you lived in Bunnell, Florida at the time. I handed out flyers in Melbourne. Those places are not the same. So just a bunch of lies. And he's just very, very dodgy, very stuttery, doesn't know what to say. And again, that could be from years of drug abuse. That could be from psychotic problems he has. I don't know. I just know that this is what he tells me, and I don't feel right about it. It makes me feel a certain type of way when he talks to me.
The article that I read had mentioned Palm Bay and Jacksonville as places your mom frequented, but it also said she may frequent other states. Do you want to go into what those places would be and why she would be there and like what areas in the state?
Okay, so New Jersey would be one, and Somerville, New Jersey is where my mother was born. She went to high school there. Very incorporated. A lot of those people contacted me when they found out she was missing and were astonished. These people grew up with her. They stayed at her house every other Thursday because they were best friends or whatever the case may be. They hung out outside the Macy's at the mall in leather jackets. I got so many stories and cool things from her friends in high school. So Somerville, New Jersey is definitely a place I could see her trying to go back to, maybe not. I'm not sure. She did run away to California, and that's actually, I'm reading that right now in my grandfather's testimony. It says she took off with some bad kids the first night she was here. I had my friend send her back home to me. She was only at home about a week when she took off again to California with a guy who was in the Army. So she literally just took off to California once with a guy from the Army. It was just like random. And then my grandfather lived in Texas for a while, so that's another place I could see her going. And then because of one of her ex-boyfriends lives in North Carolina, I could see her going there as well. So that's an option too.
So when you said that she was the type of person who'd get into a car with someone, you literally mean that?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, like the Army guy. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay.
So
definitely see that.
Here's an example. So, and this person isn't incorporated in the story. We're just going to call him Dan. Dan was the first boyfriend my mom got after she left my father. And he was like just somebody she met while she was walking down the road, and he worked at like these apartments. He was the maintenance guy there. So he was like standing in the parking lot or something, and she just got with him. Okay. And so then she's with Dan, and then this other boyfriend I mentioned earlier gets out of prison. He owns the apartments. So he gets out of prison and comes back to these apartments, and she leaves the maintenance guy for the owner. And then she's with him for a while. They get in a fight. She takes off down the road. She meets the boyfriend she was with in 2003 when I last saw her on the side of the road. So it's just like a ripple effect. She always felt like she needed to be with someone. I don't know if it was to provide drugs. I don't know if it was to provide a home, but I do know that at one point I told her some things as a child about someone that was living in our home, and I was told that this is our place to live and he's providing a home for us, and so we're not leaving. And that's what I was told. And that's basically, you know, how it was. She needed a man, and it was, you know, always one of these crazy guys that did drugs. I will say the last boyfriend was the most well put together. I do mention he had his own like landscaping business, so a legitimate company where he worked. It wasn't like he just sold drugs or, you know, did under the table stuff for money or anything like that. It was, he had an actual job. I will say that there's something that's lightly mentioned here and there. I do have another sibling. She is deceased. So in 1985, my mother gave birth to a baby that was not living. And so she's buried in Somerville, New Jersey, where my mom was born. And she would have been like a few years older than me and my sister now. And I want to say that that's when all of the craziness started, to answer the last question that was sent in. She kind of went off the deep end after that, I think. And I will say that just last year, the same thing happened to me now. On December 10th of last year, I lost a baby. And anyone that doesn't go off the deep end,
I'm sorry.
you might... You're fine. You might want to get that looked at if you don't go off the deep end after losing a baby. And then after Stephanie, which is my deceased sister, Jessica and I came. And Jessica's older than I. She is 28. I'm 27. So we're a year and 10 months apart. And yeah, a year after I was born, the drugs and trying to see other men besides my father started. In his testimony, because I have a testimony from him as well, he states that, you know, he says something that I don't exactly believe, but a lot of people, I guess, believe this. My mom was never the one he wanted to have children with, and she was never the motherly type. But I don't believe that. And essentially, he was only with her for a year after I was born. So, like, how much did you witness or not witness? You know, and you worked all the time because my mom didn't have a job. So, in my opinion, I think the care was there. I think that there was other stuff eating away at her. I mean, she had just lost a baby. She requested that there be no funeral, and her parents forced her to have a ceremony for the child. And it was a whole thing. They made her like hold it after it had passed away. So it was just a whole thing. And, you know, she had already started experimenting with alcohol and things like that because she was in high school. That's what you do. I mean, come on. But on top of, you know, just kind of branching out and experiencing these things in high school, she had just lost a baby. And then was forced into like making it a thing when she didn't want to make it a thing. She kind of just wanted the hospital to dispose of everything. And I mean, I don't know how it worked back then, but when it happened to me, they didn't even ask me what I wanted to do with anything. It was just like, your surgery's done. You can go home now. So to me, that if I had to like stand at a funeral and there was a ceremony and all that, I don't know if I would be where I'm at right now with it, you know. And I've had a year to just kind of let it settle. So, yeah, you know, apparently this happens to a lot of people. It's a common thing, the losing babies. So, I can't imagine what she was going through. And then you know, to have me and my sister and move to Florida to be closer to her father. She was a daddy's girl for sure. She was not a mommy's girl. So she always wanted to be with her father, and he had moved from Jersey to Florida. So she moved from Jersey to Florida to follow him. And again, a year later, she was with someone other than my father. So, and the drugs, and we were being taken away, and his kids were being taken away. And again, I've been rambling, so I don't even know if that answered the last question.
Absolutely, you're doing a great job. I wanted to ask when I think you said it was your grandfather, your mom's father. He did send her identification and paperwork, right? Where did you say she was staying at that time?
He says a hotel in Jacksonville, and hold on, I have a screenshot of the exact message that he sent me, and I keep it on hand. Sorry, I'm going to Facebook. Lovely Facebook.
Yeah. We have, as you're doing that, Dr. Donut says, I'm amazed at what an intelligent, mentally stable person you are. Most people would find an excuse to be a mess after all you've been through. You're a true inspiration. Thank
you so much. I try, and again, I'm not perfect. I have my vices, I have my things, but all in all, I really make a point to, you know, have seen what I saw growing up and to not do that. And to, you know, I saw drugs at an early age, just on my coffee table. There was people high, there was people passed out, you know, all the time. And me and my sister just took care of each other and took care of the other kids in the house. And we made it a point to be like, we're not going to be like that. That's not going to be us. And lo and behold, I have never touched anything worse than, you know, what you do in high school. Alcohol, you know, there, but
yeah. I was gonna say, you and I sound like we had pretty similar childhoods, and you definitely came out of that really well. Minus the foster care system. I just got shipped off to an island. So.
Oh, was it fun at least? No, probably not. No. Okay. The silence answers it all.
I don't know how good you guys are doing when you end up hanging out with me. So everything's not too perfect.
Hey, you seem pretty normal. What?
I'm just teasing. No, but I do want to say exactly what you said. I think when people go through that when they're young, some people use it, like Donut says, as an excuse to and I know people, I don't want to go into too many details. Let's just say I know people who are like, now I can just ruin my life. And I know people that are still talking about when their grandfather died when they were 4 as why they're doing drugs at 47. It's like, dude, come on. Right. Like, I know it was tough, but you can't do that. But then there's the other side who do what you do, who are like, I am never going that way. Same with Grotto. Like, no way. I see what it does. See ya. So thank God you guys are both that kind.
Well, when I had to deal with it personally, like when it finally hit me, it took me out for like a year. So I obviously don't have the mental strength you have, Sherri. So that's when I saw Mr. Donut sing, I was like, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't handle it. If I didn't have my wife, I'm not sure I could have crawled back out of that hole.
Yeah, I I will say that there was a time period where I felt like not dealing with it would be better. And so, you know, I did like Xanax or whatever. I had gotten it prescribed to me at first, but then like it wasn't enough. And so I found myself getting it in other places, and I would just be like passing out all the time. And it didn't do anything for me, because when it wore off, I still wanted to do what I'm doing now. I still wanted to fight back, and not just be told to be quiet and stop talking about it and stop bringing it up. And I think part of it was like my family was so against it, and I had to be around them all the time because they're my family. And I chose to go back with them after 9 years of being separated in foster care. I made the initial contact to get back in with them. And so because it was my choice, I was like, you know, I can't I can't do this to them, like keep bringing it up. And I felt like masking it would just make it go away. And then they wouldn't have to hear it anymore from me. But now I'm an adult and I live my own life. So like, they don't have to hear it every day. And I can still do it, you know? I found this text message we were talking about. So this is changing the subject again. Sorry. I had messaged my grandfather, my mom's dad, and I said, so, hey, I'm getting ready to do a podcast or something like that. And I was just wanting to get a straight answer from you on like, you know, when was the last time you saw mom? What was said? And like, what happened? You know, did you look for her or did you try and report her missing? And this was his answer. He said, yes, I tried many times over the years, but to no avail. The last time I heard from her was several years ago. She called me and needed her birth certificate and social security number. I sent them to her. I don't have that address anymore. It was a motel near Jacksonville, Florida. That's all I know. She hasn't contacted me since. Hope this helps you. Love you. So that's the gist of the answer that I get every couple years or so, because that's how often I ask. It used to be like every time I saw my grandparents. We'd go over there for holidays and things like that, and we'd bring it up. And, you know, my uncle, which is her brother, she has two brothers, two younger brothers. She's the eldest. And they say that they had their cop friends look for her and that the trail ended in Palm Bay. Well, like, of course, me doing my 11 years searching now, I know it's not true. So I just don't ask anymore. I don't, you know, I can't make them give me information they don't want to give me. And I can't make them be willing. I can't. And I've tried and tried and tried over the years. One year, my one uncle came over on my birthday. And he brought me a card and a little teddy bear for my stepdaughter at the time. I was with someone else then, but he brought me out back in my backyard and told me, here, I brought you $100 and a stuffed animal for your kid, but I just want you to know you need to let it go. And I was like, let what go? And he was like, the stuff about your mom, like, you need to let it go. God. And I was like, I looked at him and I said, get the F out of my house. And he did.
Yeah, he's lucky you didn't give him one of those. Jeez. Huh? People.
I said, get out. Take your girlfriend with you.
Wow. I'm sorry, Sherri.
Yep.
You dealt with a lot.
Happened.
It made you strong, of course. But
well, and again, I'm noticing, and I won't mention any names, but just a couple days ago, it happened with the last family member that's been supportive the last few years with me. She's decided that she's no longer on board, and I just basically said, peace out. I'll be here.
So she was helpful, but decided she had enough.
Yeah, and her children are related to me as well, and they've always been on that. So the one of them tells me that if I ever involve her dad in it, I'll be sorry. So who knows what that means, but she knows where I live. I don't play about my mom. I really don't. They could tell me whatever they want to tell me. They could tell me, I'll kill you tomorrow if you don't stop. I said, I'll see you then. Because to me, it's like, you know, you can write her off as much as you want, but can you imagine your mother? If I look at any single one of them and say, would you give up if it was your mom? They'll say no. So like, why can you blame me for wanting to do it for my mother when if it was yours, you do the same? I don't know. My sister's still very supportive. That's really the only one that I'm like, if she ever gives up completely, I don't know if I'll ever talk to any of them ever again. But you know, she still likes to be in the loop. Like I said, she doesn't want to be front and center, but she definitely wants to be involved. She loves my mom. She cares about my mom. But I think she's doing a lot of the masking we were talking about a few minutes ago herself. She was older And I don't know how much her brain remembers and how much her brain doesn't, but I know mine remembers way too much for my own good. So to know that she was a little bit older and her brain might have realized what was going on, or like, you know, I have no idea. I can't imagine. So I don't push it, and she's allowed to be involved with whatever she wants and doesn't have to be involved with whatever she wants.
We do have a question from Skywatcher. In 2005, is there a chance she entered a rehab facility in the vicinity, she asks?
We have talked about that. We've discussed a wide variety and spectrum of things that could have happened. Like, I do know that Katrina and like all that stuff went on in 05 too. Like there was some bad storms in Florida that hit. And like, I know there was like relocating services. And if she was anywhere near Georgia, like she could have easily gone over that line there, that state line, and we would have never even known. Witness protection. She had a lot of abusive boyfriends. I mean, not to mention any names, but like all of them pretty much hit her except the last one. And I could see her, you know, kind of dipping off into something like that. Like, please help me. He's going to kill me. There was a report, like the one where she had tried to commit suicide. That was when she was with the guy in 1999. She had mentioned wanting to go to Serene Harbor, and I almost skipped over that and didn't see it. Serene Harbor is a women's safe house, I guess. I don't know what they call it, but she had requested to go there in 1999. So like, if she was requesting then, who knows what, if she got into more abusive men, or if this pimp guy was actually a thing and he was hurting her. I could see her ending up in Serene Harbor and getting a whole new identity, or like, you know, something like that. Just the possibilities are just endless when it comes to this, because we just don't know. We don't know where she went from there in 05. So definitely a possibility though. Yes, to answer your question.
Okay. Grotto, I feel like I haven't let you speak a ton during the duration of this, so I don't want you to think I'm blocking you out.
I've talked as much as I've wanted to, and as many I've answered some questions in chat too, and talked to them. So I don't have a lot of questions. She's provided a whole lot of information, more than I think we could have asked.
She's doing amazing. So. Sherri, so obviously we're holding out hope that she is out there, and just for whatever reason, because of, you know, we know she had some struggles choosing to stay away. But so if she does see this and you can speak directly to her, we'll kind of give you the floor. Do you want to give her a direct message?
Yeah, just that, you know, if you are out there and doing well, let us know. If you're out there and you're not doing well, let us know. My sister and I, we have no hard feelings. We made that pact as children. And it still stands 20 some odd years later. You know, she can always come home. That's really all it boils down to. Jessica and I are her home, and we would never deny her. It doesn't matter what you've done, you know, and something I always say is I don't have any questions. If she were to ever come back, I don't think I would ask a thing, except for like, how you're doing. That's about it. That's really all I would tell her is you're always welcome back. Yeah.
Okay. I know you had, I think, quite a few papers that you said you wanted to make sure you read certain parts on. Did we get to all of that, or were there additional things you wanted to read?
Pretty much. I have her mother's testimony here. That's really the only thing I didn't touch on. I touched on my dad's a little bit and what he said in there, and then her father's. Her father's, it just basically starts out insane. It's almost like Dad of the Year. He there's so much love in his testimony. It starts out, you know, I was pacing the hospital floor. It was July 7th, 1968. So the day of her birth, he starts the testimony, and it ends when she disappears. So you can just see the love. And I want people to know that even if your family doesn't support you, that it doesn't mean they don't love the person technically. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that they never cared about that person. My grandfather has died probably twice on the table from heart attacks. He was always my mom's hero, though. Back then, when all this stuff happened, he would be the one to come in and throw the nasty boyfriend out, like straight up out the window, throw him out of the trailer, and tell him, don't touch my daughter ever again. He was always the one to pick us up or, you know, take Jessica and I when there was nowhere for us to go in foster care. If they didn't want us to go in foster care, he would voluntarily take us for my mom. And that was his baby die, you know, that's his baby die. So like, you can see the love there. I think that it just got to the point where this is my thing now. They can't handle this anymore. You know, if my grandpa dies one more time, that might be it. And who knows that finding something about her might push him over to that edge. I don't know. And so, you know, just if you feel strongly enough about something, no matter how many people are discouraging you, or no matter how many people drop off, even though they did support you at first, just keep doing it. Because, you know, if you don't, who's to say there's another person that will for your missing? You know, there's no one else out there that's doing this for Diane right now. Nobody that knew her, nobody that, you know, not her brothers, not her dad, not her mom, not her cousins, not her friends. Like, her friends are very supportive, mind you, the ones from high school that I mentioned. But if I wasn't doing this for her, we would all die in my family and no one would ever find her. It's like, I don't know why no one sees it like I do, but I just feel this urge to continue going no matter what happens. That's all.
And it sounds, I don't want to speak for you, but it sounds like your prevailing theory may be that guy with the whole 16-year window, or at least he might be up there. Are there any others that you want to throw out there for any online sleuths that look into cases and want to, are there any directions you want to point them in?
Yes. So there's a Justice for George Contos page. I follow that to keep updated on his case to see if anything changes, just, you know, in reference to my case or not even. And then also, thank you, Heather. Very sweet of you. Also, I contacted the family of George Contos, so they're also aware, and they're speaking to the detective about the information that I relayed to them about the individual we're speaking about. And so they're very interested in finding out what is going on there. I guess for some odd reason, he was affiliated with the two suspects in the case. So there's a good chance that he was definitely involved in the George Contos thing. Good chance. Not saying anything solid, but possibility. And then also, I'm throwing for a loop right now. What was I answering?
Any directions you want to point people in that are looking into the case, kind of thing?
Yes. So something else I found recently, which hasn't been widely mentioned, I guess. There's another missing person connected to this person.
Really?
Shocker there. Yeah, her name is Sherri, and which another shocker, her name is Sherri.
Okay, let me write this one down.
Sherri Ann Campbell, she went missing in 2001, and for some reason her daughter is on my mom's ex-boyfriend's page. And he hits on her and does the creepy stuff with her, and she
the
looks
same one
just
that
like
was
her.
doing the creepy stuff with you. Oh my god.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, there's reason to watch this guy. It's not like I'm just making all this up. There's a whole year worth of stuff that I've just been looking at. Like, oh man, something weird with you, man. I don't know if you're involved, but like I say over and over again, you can only throw so many coincidences at me. Like if to my mother's case, I kept hearing Jason over and over again. After a while, I'm going to be like, okay, who's this Jason guy? You know, like, why does his name keep coming up over and over again? And that's what here, basically. It's like, I didn't want to suspect him. I knew he was a bad person because of my own personal experience with him. But I didn't want to suspect someone that was so close to me and my mother, and I lived with him, and like we spent Christmases together. It wasn't like just a week or so and then they weren't together anymore. It was like we were incorporated in each other's lives, and like his family knew me and my sister as little girls, and like he was kind of like a stepdad to us at first until he got highly aggressive and abusive towards my mother, and you know. Then it got weird. So again, yeah, Sherri Ann Campbell is a new one that I found. Her daughter is all over his page, and for some reason they're associated. I haven't been able to find out how yet, but I am in contact with Sherri Ann Campbell's sister now. So I'm going to go from there and talk to her and try and find out what happened there and why this girl would be on his page and why he's talking to her like he talks to me. And all that. But
wow, that guy is like the weirdest story I've ever heard as a whole. In any case, any of these cases.
Sounds like there's a part 2 to me.
I'll send you a screenshot real quick here of the dates and why that freaks me out so bad. You can put it on here if you'd like. I just don't know how. So I'm illiterate with that.
Yes.
There's always a new program every year that takes them getting used to.
Here we go. Jesus. I'm getting message requests. I'm assuming it's from someone that's watching this probably. But there's the two dates.
So I was going to say I can pull it up, but it will expose our text messages. So, you know, not that we talked about anything that would matter, but I just want to tell you.
No, you put all my dirty laundry on here? No, we only talked about the interview.
I did tell you to put a bunch of H's in there first.
I know you did. So this is.
But yeah, if you
oh, am I? I thought I was showing my screen. I bet I'm not. Hang on.
You're right.
I'm not doing it again. Okay, sorry. I thought I was showing you. Hang on. What am I doing? Okay, there we go.
So that is George Contos. He went missing, or he was reported on May 10th, 2015. And then this is the report from my mom's ex-boyfriend, the next picture. And this is I don't know if you can zoom in on that. Probably not.
It's not letting me. It's just letting me. Oh, wait, here we go. Oh, no, never mind. Didn't work.
It says May 11th, 2015. And that's the actual report from the police department that he called in.
Eyeglass, too.
One
well, hang on, guys, I hear like 5 things at once.
There you go. Oh, you're showing the name.
Oh, oh God.
That's okay. It's okay. It's fine. People have already seen it all over Facebook, so I don't think it's a huge deal.
Oh,
and this is also information. So
yeah, if it's public info, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, so one day apart there. George Contos, his neighbor, goes missing on May 10th, 2015. And on May 11th, 2015, he calls in to report my mother missing.
Wow.
Yeah. Took me a little while to figure that out, but I don't think he likes that I've seen that and figured it out. So.
Okay. Well, we have plenty of info on him. So, sir, if you have any explanations to anything that have been brought up, by all means, you know, I'm sure you can contact Sherri, I would imagine, and you can contact me as well. Sherri, if anybody has any tips, ideas, anything like that, what's the best place to send them to you? Would it be the Finding Diane Francis Facebook page or your own personal page? Or
honestly, there is a social media page on each outlet. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I have Get Vocal, but I don't really use it often. There's a page for her on each of those, and I can be personally contacted by any of them. They're all linked directly to my cell phone.
Oh, she just freeze for you?
yeah, she froze. So give her a
Okay.
minute. Where's Kit? If she drops out, it's okay. We're kind of winding down anyways. I just want to make sure everyone gets the information. I will put it at the bottom, guys, but sounds like what she was saying was there's a Finding Diane Francis page on all the main social media outlets. Oh, there she is. Can you hear her, Sherri?
No, what happened?
We lost. Yes, you said there was a page on all the main outlets for your mom, like social media outlets.
And it comes to my phone directly, like as if it would for your own personal account. So they're all linked directly to my personal account. I can be reached on any of them. So yeah, feel free to reach out. And then also, she has a NAMAS case. Detective John Cogburn with the West Palm Beach Police Department is her detective. He can be contacted, and his number is usually on the bottom of every flyer that's posted. So that's there for them to see as well. I'm getting questions, but it disappeared. I don't know what it said.
That was a comment.
It was just a comment. Yeah,
Okay.
It was Be United saying that they'll send the info. I think they're referring to the aliases they found.
Okay. Yeah, we've talked before, so I'm sure they would have no issue just sending me a quick message, or you. Either one is fine.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna be here and try to continue and help you with this, especially since you really don't have many people helping you. By all means, I'm here for you, Sherri. So if anybody wants to send anything to me, I will make sure Sherri gets it. And of course, you could. It would make more sense to send it to her, or if you know something important, the authorities. But if you do want to send anything to me, I will make sure to forward it along. Just kind of going through the picture. See how much she looks like her mom here, guys? I'm sure you've seen this a few. Please tell me I'm showing it. I'm not doing it again. Oh my God. I thought I was just doing that for the last 30 seconds. Sorry, guys. That's her and her mom. I'm sure you've seen it quite a few times, but they look just alike. So if you're looking for Diane, look for Sherri. You'll find her.
It's so funny you just said that, because I actually had a girl contact me. She was so sweet. I felt so bad. I live here in Arizona, and she actually contacted me and was like, I've seen your mom at this grocery store in Arizona. I swear it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, actually, what grocery store on the corner of what and what? And she said the cross streets. And I said, it was me you saw.
Nah,
that's
really?
It's adorable.
So yeah,
they're looking out though.
Yeah.
Like, that's nice.
Yeah. I was like, you're so sweet. She was so sweet.
Oh,
she sent me something with the address already. Oh, okay. Carrie Windsor. That's who you're speaking of. I know her. Carrie.
Yeah, there's Carrie. There's Dave Wilson. He shows his name in the chat. There's a few more of them. They're great, as you know, because you were speaking to them before me. Is there anything that? Well, first off, Grata, before I ask her that, is there anything that you weren't able to get out? I know you said earlier that she was thorough and covered every question.
Everything. I mean, I guess the only thing I can think of is back to the grandfather comment about medical bills.
While you ask that, give me 1 second. The issue with my dogs. I'll be 1 minute, guys.
You're good.
Okay, buddy.
Obviously, because I think a lot of people are going to go back to that if they read any kind of news articles. There's no real information to suspect that she had some kind of medical crisis or anything like that.
I will say that more and more as years are going by, younger people in my family are getting schizophrenia. Her youngest brother has it pretty severely. Someone in my side of the family has it pretty severely. So that could be something, but as far as like known medical conditions when she was still around, not that we're aware of. I do hear a couple of her ex-boyfriends saying she was on disability for something though. So, and again, I tried contacting the Social Security office. They used to have a letter forwarding service that they would do, but it was discontinued in 2015. So I was way too late on that, like everything else. And that's due to like the HIPAA law or like privacy laws and things like that. They stopped forwarding things. But we definitely did think about that. Like, you know, if we could find out if she had medical problems or things like that. I know my grandmother has diabetes to the point where she's in a wheelchair or something. So that could definitely be something she could get in later years. You know, she's 52 now. So it's not like when she was, excuse me, 34 and had no issues. Aw, puppers.
Taking over.
He's so cute. He reminds me of this dog that my Aunt Alice used to have. His name was Emmett. And he looked just like that.
This is Toby.
Cute.
So, and I'm sorry, you might have kind of been talking about this while I was gone. He was shaking a little. I had to check on him and I had to do something for him. But is there anything that I didn't think to get to, or Grotto, that you want to make sure, whether it's something in the paperwork?
Oh, you're breaking up.
Oh, I'm breaking up. You can't hear me?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. What happened?
I think I need a new mic. It's always some kind of issue lately.
Oh, you sound, Jason, you sound 110 to me, buddy.
Oh, I do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me, Sherri?
He's gone on my end. I can't even see him.
Ooh.
But
His thing just has a loading circle.
Let me go check this. Actually, let me go check the stream. I just took it down. I didn't take it down. I had it. No, we still have them on live too. So there could just be in a connection between the two of you.
Do you want to close out so she can hear
probably
me?
my internet. I
I'm
promise.
going to say phone tag. Jason's asking if you want to close out, and Sherri saying, "My memory isn't that quick, so I forgot what Sherri said."
I said it's probably my internet.
Oh, it could be anything. It could be StreamYards too, because
my mother-in-law's watching it and she can see him, but I can't.
Yeah. So, because if it was your internet, then you wouldn't be able to hear me either. So I don't think it's your internet.
It says something in the corner here. Having trouble connecting. This is often caused by an unstable internet connection. Move closer to your router if you're on Wi-Fi, which I'm sitting right next to it. So.
Well, it sounds like you guys can hear me, so at least we got her for the vast majority of it.
Well, we can close out if you guys want and just follow up privately.
It sounds like there's also like a part 2 with as that case moves forward with the neighbor.
Yes, and the DNA we're waiting on, things like that. Yeah. Are we talking over each other? We probably are.
Nope. He just camera went like this and moved his camera down to his dog. And I realized I smiled right when you were talking about DNA, and it probably wasn't the best part, and that made me laugh. I was like,
Grotto, did you realize that finally made my camera stop being so dark when I just did that? Look at.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Your exposure. Auto exposure.
All right, yeah, now everyone sounds awful to me. So we'll finish up here. I don't think Sherri can hear me, and I don't know who can hear me. So thanks for joining us, guys. Sorry for the technical issues tonight. Sherri, if you can't hear me, I'll contact you when we finish. Grotto, I love you like always, my friend. So why don't you say goodbye?
I still can't see him, so I'm just like, okay.
He's saying his goodbyes. I know how awkward it probably was just to see me randomly blow Jason a kiss to a spinning circle, but he's thanking you. Thanking everyone.
All right, bye.
Well, you're very welcome.
I think she said her boyfriend's mother was it or something that can see me. So bye to her. Bye to anyone who can see me. And if you can't, then bye to the spinning circle. All right, guys. Sorry for all the tech issues.
We could see everyone. Bye, everyone.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.